of Oregon, member of the Foreign Relations Committee. Senator, first, we have a lot to get to today, but let me ask you about the lack of progress on getting the food in. There's a show of an effort the last 72 hours, as our correspondent Ralph Sanchez just reported. But from all that I'm reading with the UN food aid people, the relief organizations are just not seeing it on the ground.
Well, it has been really a year in which Israel has put up so many obstacles to both nutritional aid, food aid, clean water, medicine in Gaza, and it has put the United States in the position of being complicit with this horrendous level of suffering. So I had hoped that the 30-day notice that President Biden put out in combination with a good outcome in the election might have dramatically changed that. It's been now at least 3 weeks that virtually no aid has gotten into northern Gaza, so a horrific situation is made that much worse. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's going to be much change in that approach. We're going to continue to see very little humanitarian assistance make it to the several million people who are there in Gaza.
And of course, if this, as expected, becomes Marco Rubio's State Department, and his confirmation would be, relatively easy, compared to some of the choices that have been floated. A lot of the career people at the State Department and others are relieved that a senator who was the vice chair of Senate Intelligence and on the Foreign Relations Committee, you've worked with him. What is your take on Marco Rubio as the next Secretary of State?
Yes, I think he's a very good nominee. I have worked very closely with Marco Rubio on issues from the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act. We paired up on that, to the Taiwan Relations Act. We've worked together on issues related to Hong Kong and the blocking the provision of tools that the police use in Hong Kong to suppress dissent. So there's a human rights element to his work that has been significant. He's been the chair or co-chair of the China Commission that I also am a co-chair on. So we've worked very closely on these issues. It's someone you can sit down and talk to and he's well informed on foreign affairs.
What do you think of Mike Waltz, congressman from Florida, former Green Beret, many Bronze Stars, as National Security Advisor? That's not a confirmable post, as you know.
I do not have any background working with him, so I'm going to be, obviously, it's not, as you point out, it's not confirmational, so I won't be spending a lot of time looking into that, but I am interested to see what his background is, what he will bring to that conversation, but I don't have any insight to bring to bear on it.
Well, something I know you know very well and are passionate about is the environment. And Lee Zeldin, the New York congressman, Republican congressman, who has in the past criticized the EPA, been in favor of withdrawing from the Paris Accords, is going to be the new head of the EPA if he's confirmed.
This is obviously a significant concern, but I will say his record is not as extreme as many. He was part of the Bipartisan Climate Solutions Caucus in the House. But when it comes right down to it, what really matters here is the guidance that the Trump administration is sending him. We saw the friction between, say, Trump and Attorney General Sessions. And how they fell out. I mean, it's going to be Trump's vision that drives this. So whatever recognition there might be in terms of Lee Zeldin, it's going to be very much the Trump team saying, crank up the fossil fuels and tear down any advancement on going to renewable energy economy. This is probably the biggest issue humanity faces. 7 generations from now, people are going to say, what did you do to stop this runaway warming of the planet? And the United States has to be a world leader on this. We can't expect other countries to act if we're not acting. And I'm afraid that incredibly important effort has been profoundly set back.
I think we have some comments that Zeldin made in the past about climate change. Let me play that for you.
I'm not sold yet on the whole argument that we have as serious a problem with climate change as other people are.
That was in 2013, I'm told.
That is before he joined, I believe, the Climate Solutions Caucus, and we saw a lot of additional evidence about climate. But on the other hand, those who are seeking to curry Trump's favor have been very reluctant. We used to have many Republicans who were climate champions. There was a time, if we go back to when Dukakis ran for president, Dukakis ran on coal and Bush ran on climate. So we've seen a dramatic change, and it does point to the corruption of our elections by Citizens United and the vast money from the fossil fuel industries that has come into play. I think it's important for us to understand there's the science that so many members understand on both sides of the aisle, and then there's the politics, and the politics on the Republican side of the aisle are don't speak up too loudly on climate.
And we can also remind people that the Environmental Protection Agency was created by Richard Nixon,
Yes.
a Republican president, and that the first head of it was William Ruckelshaus, a well-known environmentalist, I think, from your part of the country as well.